Welcome back to the Ford 8N project. You can see that I've been doing a lot of work off camera. Last time you probably saw it, we had a head on here, had the valve covers on, had the axle on. Well, like I might have mentioned before, this axle pin had a little too much play in it. Not necessarily the pin itself, but it was the bushing and the spacers in here. We needed some more spacers, and once I got this apart, it was a real bear to get the pin out. But once I got it apart, the bushing came out in two pieces. And anyway, so we got all of that out. I've got some spacers to go back in. I got a brand new bushing over here off camera in the cast iron piece of the axle I-beam there. Brand new bushing in that. Got a new pin, so hopefully I can get all this back together without any fuss. The reason the head is off is I was getting ready to adjust the valves, got a hand crank, I was turning them over, had a stuck valve, played with it a little bit, I couldn't get it unstuck. So I decided to jerk the head off. I thought I'd go through all of them, clean them all up, lap them. But once I got the head off, I spun it over one more time and she came free. Everything seemed to be fine, so I just oiled them all up. I checked them all to see if they were seating good. I put a little bit of carb cleaner in the top of each one while they were closed, and none of them leaked anything down. So that told me that they're decent. So I'm just gonna leave them all as is. We got them adjusted. We're gonna put a new head gasket on for the second time, torque it down, and then I can go back with my valve cover gaskets, and then my manifold gaskets and manifold. And then I've got a brand new exhaust pipe we'll put on here just to make this thing look 10 times better than putting the old rusty one back on. So I think a new exhaust pipe was like $22, so we'll put a new one on there. And we got a little bit of work to do to get this back to where it was, but we'll get busy and it shouldn't be too bad.
Don't let me fool you. Yes, that pin went in really easy. I had it in the freezer overnight.
On some sheet metal, some body panels. These are what I call the dog legs for the hood, and some people refer to them as hood supports, side panels, dog legs. I've heard a lot, and that's what I call them. They go on each side of the hood just like so. So you can see these are pretty beat up. You can buy new aftermarket ones for about $60–70 a piece, but I was just trying to save as much as I can on this old tractor, having that we bought a lot of cosmetic parts, plus the wiring harness and just a lot of different things for it. So money adds up really quickly, close to $2 grand in parts. So I'm gonna save money and try to fix these and get them as straight as I can. And then we'll put a little Bondo and body filler in it and just kind of slick them out. So I've got the body hammer here. This is more like for door skins or you know, the internal panels. I've got my dollies here, 2 different dollies. I've got more over here in my toolboxes. I've got 2 different sets of body tools, and got spoons, hammers, dollies. Just try to find the one that fits the position you're trying to shape up the best you can. And that's how I use them. I'm no professional by any means. I've only used body tools probably 3 or 4 times. So I just do what I think will work, and that's the best I'll do. So here we go. We're going to see if we can get this hammered out and see what happens. vents actually working really well. Just needs a lot more work done. As you can see, I've straightened that dent out pretty good. That was bent, and we've got just a little more to do, and then we'll fix that. Also got a tear there and a dent, some dents here. This whole panel's kind of bent in, so let's see if we can straighten her up. All right, there you go. After a lot of beating and banging and probably making the neighbors mad, I think I have gotten it straight enough to where I could blast this piece, put a little primer on it, and then we'll use a little Bondo to fill in the imperfections. This piece was a lot more bent than you see it. I still have a little bit of a roll right here. I tried my best to get all of that out, and I feel like I did really good. So I'm just going to put a little Bondo there and there. You might can see there's still a bend in it, and I've tried getting all of that out, working my way from the outside in. But I couldn't get it any more. I got a lot of it out. I got all the lips straight. I got this lip. It was really bent down here. I got it straight all the way around, all the way. Straighten this one up, straighten this one up, and this one's got a crack in it from right here, about 1 inch long, up to here. I don't know if I'm going to leave it or see if somebody can tack it, but finding somebody to tack it for me is a lot harder than just leaving it. This is the old 8N tractor. It really won't hurt anything. I could even drill a tiny little hole in there to stop that crack if I wanted to. Got a little rust hole right here. It's actually a perfect hole. May try to fill that in and Bondo over that. And then I had a dent right here I couldn't get to because this is solid with this bracket right here. So we'll just have to fix that. But I had warpage in this panel. You can see with the paint's chipped right here. That's what caused the crack. I got all that straight. And I think it's ready for blasting and primer and filler. So on to the next one. Good morning. Today what we're going to work on is we're going to get the valve cover gasket back on the tractor. We're going to get the cylinder head back on the tractor with a new head gasket and torque down. I'm going to put the manifold on, and if I'm lucky I'll go ahead and put the new exhaust on. We're going to try to get some other things done, such as a new shifter boot. The steering wheel could go on, but it could go last. And we're going to try to get some parts, some small parts cleaned up in the blast cabinet. So we got a lot to do today. We're looking forward to getting this tractor back together, and hopefully we can get it to Christmas parade. We've got about a month, so we've got a lot of body work to do and some more painting to do. So we'll shoot for it and see what we can do. We're going to start with the valve covers here. We've got everything adjusted. It's all cleaned up now. I'm going to take our valve cover gaskets, which there's two quart gaskets, and I've got a little valve sealant compound I like to use on quart gaskets like that. It's just a 3M black gasket adhesive. I like to put just a little bit, not a lot's required, just a little bit on those gaskets. I'll put it on both sides on these and put our covers back on and lightly tight those covers because they have that single bolt right in the middle that holds them down. If you over tighten them, you'll deform the cover and then you'll have a leak for sure. So we'll lightly tighten those up. We'll get our cylinder head on and torque down and our manifold and manifold gaskets. And for those two gaskets, I'll use that copper coat spray sealant, and we'll let that tack up and get them together. Okay, so we had a little technical difficulty with this this 3M gasket sealant. It's set up just enough to where it's rubberized, so it's not any good. We'll go ahead and trash that. And I've got this Permatex high-tack spray gasket sealant, same stuff, just in spray form. So we'll use it. Get both our gaskets here on this cardboard. Spray them down. Now we'll let those set for just a minute, then we'll reassemble. We'll get our nuts off here and get everything ready. Okay. And we'll wipe that down one final time. Okay, we're going to shift gears for just a minute. We got our valve cover gaskets on. I'm about to put the manifold back on, but before I do that, so I can let it be drying, I'm going to take my distributor back off. I actually rebuilt the distributor when I first got the tractor running. I'm going to take it back off, take the coil and the cap off, mask it all up, and I'm going to paint the aluminum body of it to match the alternator like we painted, because as you can see, I got it cleaned up really well, but there are some remnants of the old blue paint where somebody previously painted it. I want to get this thing painted up, and that way it'll match everything else and it'll look a lot cleaner. So let's shift gears, get that done, and it can be drying. Mask this thing up, and I'm just going to use some regular masking tape. This is the 3M yellow automotive tape. Show you how I do it. Just stick your tape down as straight and flat as possible. Use multiple pieces is fine. What you want to do is you want to get an even mask, because you're wanting to paint as much as possible of this distributor without it being noticed that it was either painted or masked off. You want it to look like it was fully disassembled if you can, which I have disassembled it as much as I possibly can to the extent I want to go to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this down really good around that outside edge. Okay, I'm going to take a small ball peen hammer. I'm going to use the round ball end, and with this being aluminum, I'm going to be very careful, but I'm just going to lightly tap around the edge and kind of drag it when I do. Now, this tape's pretty thick, so we'll see how it works. This also works well for cutting gaskets. Okay, now you just gently peel your tape away. And there's a couple of spots I'm gonna have to use my knife to get in there. Like right here where the two bell springs go. But you can see we've got a perfect edge masked off there. There you have it. Put a little small piece of tape, some we pulled off, around this shaft. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then that side's done. We need to go to the other side right here, and then we're going to do this side here. What I'll do is I'll probably mask it off around this big flange where it bolts up and sits against the block. So that side will be pretty simple there. Right here, I've got the little clips that hold the distributor cap on, the little spring clips. We're going to clean those up, get those good and clean. And we're going to clean this bell up. The bell holds the coil onto the distributor on the top. This is a front mount distributor, so it's a little different than the side mounts. We're going to clean these pieces up and get a little black paint on them so everything looks clean and fresh. Now we're about to put our manifold on, our exhaust manifold. We've got brand new gaskets here. These are the metal clad gaskets. I've got my copper coat and spray. I'm going to spray these gaskets till they tack up. I'm putting a pretty good coat on them. While they're tacking up, I'll go get some coffee. We'll get back and we'll put the head on. If if you ever run into a problem where you can't get a nut to start when it's down in a cavity like that, and your socket, it just falls back in the socket, get some paper, some tape, or anything you can find to take up the space in the socket so your nut just sits right there on the edge, and that'll make it a lot easier for you to get that nut started. So let me find something for that. Not sure if you can see or not, but the next thing we've got to deal with here is this exhaust bracket, this muffler bracket. It appears to be the original bracket, but it's been hit and mangled and bent over the years, and we've got to get it back right, at least close enough. So I've got a brand new exhaust pipe and muffler, so when we get it on, it will bolt up and it will actually work. Hope we don't lose any oil down here, and I'm afraid we might, but we'll take a chance and see. While you're looking at it, we've got us a new exhaust populator, new muffler. And even though it's new, I'm still going to paint it. Usually the finishes on these old exhaust pipes and mufflers are decent, which it doesn't matter because it's going to burn off and rust anyway. But for the initial effect of the restoration, I want it to look good as long as possible, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to put another coat of high heat paint over this new exhaust system. This didn't cost but about $24, and it's got about $20 worth of wrapping on it. So I'm going to wipe this down with a little brake clean. We'll hang it up and then we'll paint it. I plan to have this exhaust installed tonight. As you can see, it's got that, you know, aluminized finish on it. It's not much, but it is what it is, and we're gonna get this thing hung up real quick. So while that's drying, while I've got all that paint drying there, we're going to go ahead and install our radiator. And I've got the bolts. I've got new bolts. I've got new mounting pads. I've got a new pad that goes here for the hood to rest on. I've got new hoses and new clamps. I may have to get some different clamps because the ones I bought may be a little big, but we'll go ahead and install everything. We'll put a new thermostat in it, and we'll get it on there. If it seems that they aren't going to look good, I can pick up a couple of extra clamps and put those on next time I'm over here. It really does pay to have everything masked off when you're redoing these tractors, and especially when you've painted them. All your surfaces stay clean. It makes everything go back together so much easier. We went ahead and got a new radiator. The old radiator wasn't leaking, but it just looked really, really rotten. It was the original, and it just had a lot of corrosion on it. And I didn't want to do all this work and then go back with that old radiator and potentially have problems. So new radiator wasn't much money. It's a couple $100 and at the most. And come with a new cap, which I can save this, use it somewhere else, because we got the winged cap 4 and 8 in, and we'll put a little paint on that just to dress it up, but I think I'll leave it black. These radiators, they have a slot in them, as with most old tractors, a keyhole slot, so you can put your carriage bolt in, you slide it in there. Some of them will actually lock in place. Let's see. That one's not going to do it, but you slide them in and then it locks against that square shoulder. That way when you can tighten it down, she won't turn on you. And getting these in is a little trick so your bolts stay in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install my mounting pad. Just like so, and I'm going to pop it out just a little bit, just like that. We can actually go flush. It should help that bolt stay in there, just like that. Okay. Let's set this radiator down. And one of these holes is actually slotted, so you can put one in the hole, and then you can swing this one in. And it looks, let's see. Looks like we may have to adjust our bracket. Nope, nope, we got it. I was afraid this bracket was bent, but it actually doesn't look that bad. Now when we get the hood on, it may be a different story, and unfortunately we won't know until we get there. But that's pretty much everything right there other than the hood holding it in place. Sure how they want you to put it over the neck there, but we'll put it just like that, and then the hood goes down over that. Now let's see if our thermostat will fit. The OEM style thermostat, on these, the thermostat needs to go as close to the head as you can get it. So I'm going to put it in the upper hose on the bottom side of it. And the pointy end actually goes toward the radiator, so it needs to go in that upper hose just like that. And you'll need to have it right about there so your upper hose can contact the flange on the head and seal off. So you'll want it right in there in your hose with the pointy end toward the radiator, but close to the head as you can get it. I put just a real thin coat of white lithium grease in there, so hopefully we can get it up in there without any trouble. You can see we got it in, and I think that's a good spot for it. We'll make sure by putting it on the flange here and seeing. First, I'm gonna coat that, so that'll go on easily. Gonna run that all the way up, get a couple of clamps, and if you would face your clamps in the same direction, it makes it a lot easier and a lot cleaner look. Say our radiator needs to go there, and our hose end up there. So that looks really good, and then our bottom hose looks like it's going to work great. So I'm going to get some clamps on that, and then we'll have it together. Today I'm working on putting this electrical tube back on, where the plug wires and the electrical wire going to the distributor goes through, and it mounts to the head bolts right here, these two center ones, and fits just like that. So I painted it. I had to fix one of the mounting tabs. I took and welded a washer to it right here, and it had broken off. It's pretty thick metal here, and they're pretty strong, but I noticed when I was torquing down my head bolts right there that it wanted to grab, and it started twisting these tabs. So what I'm going to do is, none of my head bolts, this one actually has bolts. This is a late 1950. Prior to that, they used studs and nuts. This one has bolts, and none of them had washers on it when I got it, and I looked in the parts catalog, I didn't see washers. So I went back the way it was, no flat washers under the bolts. But for these two, I'm going to use just a regular flat washer, and I put some white lithium grease on both sides of it, and we're going to put this in there just like so. And I cleaned up the mounting tabs real good with a 3M disc, but we're going to put it in there just like so with that white lithium grease, in hopes that the coefficient of friction will be a lot lower than that of the wrench turning it, so it will not bind up and try to twist off my mounting tabs. So I'm just going to put this on here, and I used all new bolts in it. You know, again, it's a new cylinder head. I'm just having to go back and do this. Shouldn't hurt my head gasket that I've already torqued it down. We'll just put these in and retorque it. Now that I've got it mounted, I can pull this back just a bit to allow room for my ratchet and my torque wrench. Make sure I got them all good and snug and they're not binding up anywhere. So far, so good. It's not twisting at all. Okay, so I'm gonna torque these two head bolts down. Make sure I can get my ratchet on there good and smooth. Okay, that one's good. And that one's good. Setting, I've looked it up, calling for about 65 to 70 foot-pounds. We're gonna go ahead and torque them to 65 foot-pounds, and I'm gonna incrementally do it. So I'm just gonna go to 30, and then we'll go to 65. Okay, we'll go to 65. That's it. Once we get the tractor going, running again, we'll let it run, get hot, then we'll retorque all our head bolts in the proper sequence. So once we got that on there, now I'm gonna go ahead and roll this thing over. Try to be somewhat straight. I think that's gonna do it, that right there.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the 1950 Ford 8N restoration. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for part 5 of this video series, where we do a lot more body work and paint, and maybe you can learn something there. We've got a lot of parts left to put on this tractor and a lot of other things to fix. Remember, if you keep watching, I'll keep chasing tractors. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.